Well, the scale isn't the end all. If you are in that fat loss phase and consistently you start to see it hanging out in the same place and it's not diving, and I see that you're not tracking on the weekends, there's a good possibility, guys, that you are eating in maintenance. You're probably not in a surplus, but you're probably eating in maintenance because you're intuitively eating, which, by the way, is our ultimate goal once you get to a goal. So, like I said with Christina, I said, let's clap and celebrate because we know that you can intuitively eat specifically on the weekends and maintain yourself. That's huge. And a lot of times we'll play with this as you guys get closer to your goals and have you intuitively eat on the weekends. But that doesn't mean it should be a regular thing. Specifically, if you still are looking to achieve your goals, you want to make sure that you're tracking over the week. I'm guilty of it too. It's like, I don't have to track over the weekend. But 90% of the time, if I don't track, I'm guessing. And if I'm guessing, what's happening? I'm probably not 100% accurate. So just keeping that in mind, but thank you for that. And I see that a lot, guys, in your check-ins where I'll see all this consistency and then I see a blank on the weekends and I'm like, wonder what we were up to. So just keeping yourself in check and being super honest with yourself, even on the weekends. Specifically, if you are brand new, specifically if you're in one of the first phases of the program, and even if you're like Christina and you've been doing this for a while, but she and I will go in and out. Some of you guys, we go in and out of the fat loss phase, revamp fat loss, right? To check yourself every once in a while to see, am I really staying on track when I'm intuitively eating? I love seeing everybody walking on their treadmill. This is awesome. All right, give me another win, guys, and then we're going to start setting some goals. Tina, I want to win from you. You're new, and you've been kicking ass and taking numbers. I love that. Has everybody seen her posting? She's been busy, busy little bee. I think
I have been crazy busy.
she's been hitting, slaying crocodiles and everything.
Oh my god. Um, I just finished my reset. Yay! Um, I um,
How
I
do
I
you
finished
feel?
the reset. I didn't sway off of it once. That's a big win for me because my husband and my kids, they like to. I got little ones. They love McDonald's and ordering pizza. I didn't even look at it. I didn't taste it. I didn't smell it. I stuck to that reset like there was nobody's business. And I hit the gym, went to all my workouts every single day. And I walked and I lifted and I lifted. And I mean, that's huge for me because I'm in week 3 now. And I would have already said, I can't do this anymore, but I'm good. I got more energy than I ever have, and right after this meeting, I'm going straight to the gym and doing my meditation walk and my leg workouts, and I'm good to go. I'm just had my coffee and I'm full of energy.
I can tell. How does it feel to be showing up for yourself?
It feels good. We had that meeting yesterday with Nicole and David Lee about putting yourself first. And it's not something I'm used to because I'm used to putting my kids and my husband and my mother and everybody, my friends. And David's like, Tina, put yourself first. And this is for the first time. And, I'm 50, I'm in my 50s now. And he's like, now's better than ever. Your family's going to be there. They know what to do. So finally go do this. And so it feels good to finally take some time out for myself to do this for me. So
I love that. And you know,
yeah,
Tina, you're not alone. Most women that are right here in this group with you are here for the very same reason. We don't take time for ourselves. We don't learn to put ourselves first, and that's what's landed us in this place. So, all of you guys, that being said, who actually, besides Tina, went and was on David's call? Anybody here? Raise your hand if you joined that call yesterday. Right. If you didn't, your assignment is to go watch the recording. Okay.
It was great. It was really good meeting.
You guys should be watching those calls. He is amazing. But if you did not watch it, go to the Zoom meetings. The recording will be posted there. This is everybody on this call's assignment. If you're watching this recording, I want you to go watch it, and then I want you to share something. Tina, you can start the thing off in our Coach Jules Batty's Tribe by sharing something that you learned on that call, which you just shared with us.
Yep. We laughed, we cried. It was a good meeting.
Because we all need to learn to put ourselves first. So thank you for the share. I love that. One more win, and we are going to then start to talk about, oh, Nancy, I see you. I want to win from you because I know you got one, girlfriend. I know you went into something thinking you were a little stressed about going on vacation, and then you came back and, huh, I think she actually lost weight.
Yeah, I went on a camping trip, which I'm not a camper, but we had a great time. And it was hard to stay on. I mean, I brought as much food as I could, but we went out to eat a lot. But I felt like I made decent choices. And um, I actually lost a pound when I got back. So that,
Mhm. Yeah. That's awesome. So she's a little hard to hear, but she went on a camping trip. And, this is part of why we do a lot of the things that we do and that feel very repetitive. Some of you guys are brand new to this group, Coach Jules Tribe, and some of you guys have been here for a while, but you're brand new to me, and I may have put you on a reset. I may have given you a guide, and this may feel foreign to some of you guys that have ventured over here from another coach, and these are part of the reasons why I'm very adamant about putting these in place because they're about creating habits for you guys to make things easier, rewriting who you are, taking you from that 1.0 version to that 2.0 version so that you live in this place of food freedom. It becomes easier. In the beginning, it's hard, but many of you guys, some of you guys are brand new. I'm looking at who's in here, and you've come to me, and the challenge is I can't hit. We got on a call, and you're like, I don't know how to hit my protein goals. I've been here for a while. I can't hit them. I don't know. I'm all over the place. And that's why we give you the reset and the guides, and we start to teach you these things. They feel repetitive. They feel like a pain in the ass, but they're designed to teach you, how do I hit these goals? What are the foods that feel in my body? Creating habits that then become pretty much mindless. You just do them. And that's where that intuitiveness comes in. And a lot of ladies in here that have been doing this for a while can tell you that. They're like, yeah, I do intuitively eat. Do they sometimes dip back into tracking? Of course they do, like just to make sure that they are staying on point, but they now know how to intuitively eat. Some people never want to intuitively eat. Some people are like, just give me a damn guide and tell me what to eat. That's me. Like, I don't know how to think about that shit. I just want you to tell me what I'm just gonna keep doing these things. But it's all choices at the end that you get to make, and you are making the choice, not food and not your emotions. So I love that. I love that. And Nancy, that's living proof of that. You
Mhm.
made choices. It's not always easy, but you made new choices that you may not have made a year ago or even a couple of months ago when you went camping. And, that's something, guys, I want to talk about because it's something that I have brought up with a few of you guys in your check ins. Like some people, I've heard a little bit of the word boring, restrictive, things like that, specifically like when we're new to the program. And something that I've brought up with some people, and those of you that have been around for a while, you certainly can lean into this a little bit. But looking at food, so one of the interesting things that I think what will happen with us is we are very emotionally tied to food. Ooh, shit, there's people trying to come in. Damn it. We can tend to have this emotional attachment to food. And when some of this resistance will come in, some of the things to think about is we eat or we have eaten, and this has landed for a few people. So I want to make sure that I bring this up. It's something that they have that has really landed is we tend to eat for comfort and pleasure. That's like how we entered into this program. And asking yourself a lot of times, like, well, is this uncomfortable because I'm used to eating for comfort and pleasure? So I'm going to give you an example. I had somebody say, am I really supposed to eat the same thing over and over again? And I said, well, I'm looking at what you just ate for the past 7 days in your awareness week or whatever it might have been. And I'm like, yeah, it had the same breakfast and lunch every day. It happened to be Chick-fil-A, but you ate it every single day. So yeah, you are. What's the difference? And what the thing is when we are eating the same thing, and this is what landed for some people, I'm like, your brain doesn't recognize the repetitiveness because of the pleasure and the comfort in it, right? But the minute we say, well, we're going to eat to fuel our body, which we should be doing 90% of the time, the brain goes, wah, 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 wah. And there's this resistance that comes up and says, no, this doesn't feel right. This feels different. And if you've ever been on an awareness call with me, one of the biggest things I talk about is just that, is that resistance are those little voices that come in and try to steer us off our path and say, no, we don't do things that way. So recognizing that and then thinking about it. You know, we talk about short-term discomfort for long-term results, but also think about this. Is the pleasure of variety more important than the pleasure of being consistent and seeing the results start to come in and creating these new habits? So just remembering that a lot of times, like, and here's the thing, it's only uncomfortable like that in the beginning because as you start to morph into this 2.0 version of yourself and you start to feel the energy like Tina talked about, and you start to feel better and you start to see that banging body and the shape starts to change and the energy starts to come and you just are showing up for yourself better, it becomes easier to do these things. And again, I'm sure some women that have been in here for a while will raise their hand and say, yeah, it's not so hard anymore. It's actually what I really enjoy doing. So it's about breaking those habits and getting that subconscious mind, guys, that is saying this is not what we do, and reframing it and pulling it up to a place of like, no, this is what we do. Because 90% of the time, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, we should be fueling the body because we want to be healthy. It's not just about weight loss. We want to feel good. We should be fueling. Our body needs fuel to operate, to move, and then 10% of the time is the enjoyment part, that entertainment. But we grew up in a society where we've been taught that food, we eat for entertainment and pleasure. Make sense? Did I land? Help? Who wants to share something here that has been through this and can land, talk a little bit more about where they're at right now? Stacy, Kate, Sandy, some of you guys have been doing this for a while. How does this like, what can you add to what I just talked about? I'm gonna pull one of you
Um,
mute. There goes Kate.
you,
Thank you.
sorry,
Damn
can
it.
you hear me okay? Because I'm on my pod in my car.
Kinda, yeah,
You
now
can
I can.
hear,
Yep.
okay, better. Um, and I was one of the people that got called out this weekend, by the way, because I forgot. I literally, and I didn't go crazy, but I forgot to track and I didn't pre-track. Um, you know what I found is I'm an emotional eater. I love food. I love sweets. If you give me a thing of nothing but cakes, I will eat them all. I eat when I'm happy. I eat when I'm bored. I eat. So I love food. And what has been really freeing in this process is when I'm doing that, when I'm eating, I'm not in control. I'm reacting to a situation, whatever that situation is, and I'm not controlling what I'm doing. And so eating the same thing for me every week, every day, um, is is control for me. Like this week, this is a tough week for me because we're on fall break. I'm a school administrator. So when I'm at work, it's easy. I get up in the morning, go to the gym, I get in my routine and I have my snacks, everything's packed. I'll break. I'm at home. I'm at home. And there's things in the pantry. I've got an 18-year-old and I've got a 20-year-old. And you know what they eat? Crap. They love their snacks. They love their chips and their sweets. And so it's easy for me to be bored, walk in the kitchen, and grab something. And I'm not doing that because I pre-tracked and I'm in control of it. And so, I think we get in this thing of, oh, it's restrictive. You're taking something away from me. But I think we need to shift our focus and focus on that it's not taking away from us. We're putting ourselves in control of our body and our health. Since July, my cholesterol has gone down like 20 points. Just because I'm just dialed in and focused and doing what I'm doing. So I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but when we talk about, oh, it's restrictive or I don't get to eat the stuff I want to eat, we will, but not all the time. And that's not what should be driving us all the time. If this is what we want our health back, we want um, our physical health to be better, we want to look better, then we have to be in control and we have to do what we need to do. And that means we're not going to have Chick-fil-A every single day. We're not going to have, all the stuff that we want all the time, because it's just not good for us. So anyway, it was certainly rambly and whatever, but that's my thoughts.
No, I love that. And guys, you really, what you hear, Kate reflecting in is, basically it's an awareness. So going through this process, and Kate will be the first to tell you, like in the beginning, she was like, Jules, right? But she started to lean in, and this is what you're hearing her speak about is, now she has what you heard her say was, I'm aware. I am now aware. So some of these things haven't gone completely away. But now when I tippy toe over to the pantry, I go, oh, hold up. Why am I eating this? That doesn't mean she doesn't eat it, but she's now aware. And if there's an emotion attached to it, she may be like, yeah, why would I do this? It's not going to fix my emotion. If it's something that she really wants, she may have it. But there's that, and that right there, guys, what she just explained is the classic example. And also what I mean by some people would prefer to eat the same thing over and over again. So that's Kate. Like that's what she prefers. That doesn't mean that as you progress through this program that you don't learn to eat, you don't eat different foods. I'm not like Kate. I eat on repeat. Like it's the way I like to fuel my body. But there are people that do different things. Coach Jen will make things like she eats similar things, but she'll make them very, very different, So you'll all land in different spots of that. Barb is a very good at intuitive eating. She also eats the same thing, very similar, but she's very good at intuitive eating. And all of these things come into place because they created these habits. So I love that. thank you for sharing, Kate. And so guys, like super, super important with that. So those of you guys that are new and tuning in, like know that these are creating habits for you that are very, very freeing. And as Kate was saying, I think Kate said this on our last call, she's dropping bombs all the time. That was food freedom to her. Food freedom to her was having that control, that awareness. Anybody want to add to that? Christina, Barb, who else is on here that might want to add? Hit Stacy. You just came back from Hawaii. How did this skill set help you, Stacy? Let me.
There you go.
I
I went into it and you knew I wasn't going to track and I didn't track.
No, but we didn't want you to. We want
Um,
you to intuitively eat.
mhm. Um, I would probably put myself at about 80% doing very well intuitively eating. There was 20% where I knew I wasn't, to be honest, I knew I wasn't going to do it. And there's new flavors, there's new everything. It's been, I don't know how many years since I've been there before. So, but intuitively eating, I think I did very well because as you look at something on a plate, you're like, oh, that's a huge portion they just gave me. And a lot of times my husband and I would split something.
Mhm.
So, it really helped in that way. And, I just took my time and, when I felt like I was satisfied, I stopped.
Mhm.
I didn't feel the need to finish the plate because that's how I was raised. What's on your plate, you finish it. And I didn't always do that. And so that's kind of the shift in mindset that I've been starting to have
Mhm.
with having just a very consistent meal plan that I follow now for since May. And so this was the first time I really got off track that big. So I felt more comfortable with it.
Yeah. And like talk to me because I saw you. You communicated with me a bit while you were gone. Like, and I know you were kind of excited about a few things. Like, so it looked different for you than it possibly would have a couple of months ago because you talked about like portion sizes. But what were some of the choices that you had when you went out? Like you talked a little bit about that in my conversations. You were like, I know you were talking about like just different foods. Like what else looked different about it? Because I don't think you, and guys, I encourage you. Like Stacy was like, you want me to what? I'm like, just intuitively eat. I just like, I want, this was a part of the phase where I really needed and wanted Stacy to try to intuitively eat on vacation so she could prove to herself that she kind of knows what she's doing now. Now, she still has goals to make, and I'm kind of taking up her time here. But, and so the plan was she's going to tighten back up once she gets, but I'm like, just go do the thing. So
Mhm.
talk like again, you were nervous, but like I watched and you didn't track, but like you also were communicating. What were some other things that you may have noticed about like just choices you made?
Um, before I think I would have gone for a lot of the richer dishes, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, and there was one time I did it and I paid for it. Because it really screws with your system.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I looked at things, I didn't have the craving, I didn't have the desire to have some of that. I did try a couple. We went to a place called Mama's Fish House for our anniversary and fantabulous food. That's where I really probably screwed up. Didn't screw up, but I just enjoyed myself, and that's where I actually paid for it afterward. But um, otherwise, I kept reverting back to mahi mahi. It is the best. If I could get it straight from Hawaii every time, I would get it. It doesn't taste anything like what I'm eating now, but it's so good. So those are some of the choices I made, and I didn't go for some of the other things I would have normally went for because it just didn't trigger some sort of craving, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
So a lot of fish. Yeah, a lot of fish.
So she had a lot of awareness, guys, around what she was eating, and she, intuitively ate around awareness. So I don't know if you guys heard that, but again, awareness. She was very aware of what she was eating, and there's, and again, eating, if you didn't hear what she was saying, she might not have even heard what she said. she made choices, but if she chose to have something that she was like, yeah, this is probably a little gonna maybe not make me feel so good, but it was something that she really wanted because she was eating at a restaurant. It wasn't because there was a bag of M&Ms sitting next to her and she just ate them because she wanted it. No, she was in Hawaii. It was a restaurant that is very well known, and there was something there that she really, really wanted. And my guess is she didn't finish the plate. She probably, played around with what I like to call the 4-bite rule. She probably went over the 4 bites here and there. Maybe that's why she had a bellyache. But still, she put a thumbs up. So like, she was aware of what she was doing. And that's the difference, guys. That's the 90-10. So 90% of the time, whether she knows it or not, whether she was tracking or not, because she was messaging me about the food, she was intuitively eating because of the habits that she put in place, very structured and enjoying herself and having a hell of a time. If you read her check-in, she had a great time. And then leaning in 10% of the time to foods that she enjoyed, but having a completely different outlook on it. So I love that. Michelle Tag, you just did something similar too. You were on vacation. Holy stepola, Jesus Christ, 26,000 steps in a day. I almost fell over when I saw that. I'm like, where the hell is she? I'm gonna try to help you unmute.
Sorry, there we go. Yeah, that was crazy. I'm like, okay, I really hope they don't think I'm gonna be walking that every day. Um, but yeah, it was awesome. I was very proud of myself because we ended up having a kitchen in the hotel. I know I talked to you about being afraid that I wouldn't be able to stay on my plan. And I did 100%. And we had a kitchen, we had a stove, we had everything. So I was able to do the stuff I needed to do. Um, and I was really happy with that. I'm like, my family is very supportive of this whole thing. And I talked to you a little bit about it. My kids are very fit and very they work out like crazy. And so I had partners to do everything with. And so it was really fun. It was a different kind of vacation. Um but I didn't miss out on any fun. Like nothing changed. I still had the exact same amount of fun. I was still going to the restaurants with these guys. I just wasn't eating. I already ate before I went. Um, but I didn't feel restricted or so I was, it was great. It was a great time and holy buckets did we walk. Um, which was awesome. It helped me out.
I love
Um, so I was really happy that I was able to do it. And I was very scared that I was going to set myself up to fail and it didn't at all. So that was cool.
I love that. And thank you for sharing. So for those of you guys that are listening in, so Michelle is in a completely different part of her journey than Stacy is. She's in the beginning part. She's learning new habits. And I know you don't mind if I share this. She also
Nope.
takes a GLP-1. So it's super important that she eats the food. So she's got a little bit of a struggle on that. So it was very important that she kind of stayed on her nutrition, not just because she was in the beginning of the program, but because it's just a really important part of where she's at and what she's doing. And she's like killing the game. But what I want you guys to catch is this is super important too, because a lot of times I hear, and I've heard it several times, it's like, Jules, I'm going on vacation. Holy shit. Or I'm traveling. Holy shit. How am I going to do this? And Michelle was one of them. And I said, breathe.
Hmm.
Here's what we're gonna do. And I kind of reflected on her a little bit. I think you were one of the ones I had the conversation about the restrictive and the I think
Yep. Very much so. Yeah.
yeah, and I think you were the one that had the aha moment. You were like, damn, that makes sense when I
It
said that.
did. Yeah. It was just rewording it or something. And it's exactly, yeah, it was exactly right.
Yeah,
And it worked. Yeah. So then I didn't go into it negative.
yeah.
It was, yeah, just rewording things, I think.
Yeah, and I love that. Yeah, it was just rewording it to yourself. And I almost said very similar what I said in the beginning of the call to her. I said, what are we doing here? What is it? Looking at it a couple of different ways. And she came back and she was like, holy shit, you just landed the plane for me. That makes sense. But the key word is she's in the beginning of this and she did kind of structure her nutrition. She stayed on track, because she's in the beginning of her journey and it was important to her to remain consistent and she's really working on some health markers here. And she still, guys, if you heard it, had fun. She didn't feel like she missed.
So much fun. Yes.
Yeah. I bet you had more fun than you would have if you had
I
partake.
think so. And I didn't feel like crap because I ate crappy food. I still felt good. And yeah, so it was mind blowing. I will say that. I'm very, very happy with the whole weekend. Not just because it was fun, but that I stuck to everything. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no negative after my weekend away.
I love that. I love that.
Hmm.
Congratulations. That's really,
Thanks.
really positive. I love that. I see Brenda shared a win here in the comments. She said, when you realize food is fuel, you stop looking for pleasure in food and start finding it in your results. I love that. That's really well said. And you also start to find like pleasure in other things. So, here's another thing I want to add on to what Brenda said, because I think sometimes we miss on life experiences because we're putting pleasure into other things, i.e., food. And like sometimes when I say, I think I might have said this to a few people, well, what is this event about? Or what are you celebrating? Well, I'm celebrating this person, or I'm celebrating myself, or I'm going on this vacation or this thing to be with these people. And sometimes when we attach this emotional thing of food, we're almost taking away from the experience. Not all the time, right? But like a lot of times. And so I think that's what even you're hearing Michelle say. She experienced, or even Stacy, we experience more. I think Barb's still on here. She went to Italy. Like she's another one that'll talk about that. Like we almost experience more because we're having more fun. We have more energy. It's not the first time I've heard this. We feel good. And sometimes we're looking at the people that are with us. We're going, you don't feel so good, but I feel really good right now. And I'm going to go for a walk. And I don't know, you kind of like do your thing. So I feel like sometimes we're almost taking away, and we add to when we put the emotional focus where it actually belongs. And this is super important to start to think about as we roll into the holidays. And we're going to talk more and more about this and how we handle the holidays. But like really food for thought as we roll into this is like, what are these things about?
And Jules, can I add something to that?
Of course.
Okay, so and then the people at these certain events, you start training them. And so what's awesome, example, at the office, we have a medical practice. And so reps will bring food in. And so what's awesome is now back in the beginning, they could bring what they wanted. Yeah, I'd eat it. Now they say, okay, Barb, what do you want? So it's you train them, and I don't care where you go. I go to Italy, whatever, people that know us, they're like, well, Barb, what are you gonna have? So you are a role model for them.
Mhm.
And so, and then they don't ask you first. They don't ask you, well, you want that chicken fried steak? Well, they know I'm not going to eat it. So you train them, the people around you, and what happens is that will hold you accountable and will give you some support because they're going to know you're not going to eat it if they don't bring the stuff or whatever, and they'll hold you accountable because you'll be like, maybe I will. No, because they know that I don't eat chicken fried steak.
Yep, very true. I love that. There's two things that I want to add to that. One, again, Barb's talking about control. She's in the driver's seat. Nobody is controlling it. That's food freedom right there. I think I have three things to say. Number two is not only is she training people, she's educating people. She's paying it forward. I guarantee you guys, people they watch what you do. And there are going to be people that will lean into what you do. So that is like super important. I had similar experiences. I used to go to our Dallas office when I was in the biggest part of my transformation. In the beginning part, it was like, there she is with her food again and her little Beano bucket. Here comes Jules into a meeting. She's eating again. That girl is always eating. To very quickly, them holding their little Beano box up to me, proud as hell. Look what I did, Jules. Look what I started doing. Oh, I'm walking now. By the way, I started the gym. So what was first viewed as look at her walking around, Jesus Christ, she's eating again. That girl is always eating, to holy shit, look at me, and very proud of themselves. So you're educating them. And it's funny what Barb said, because here's another thing that I noticed, and some of you guys that are in the workplace, not that I always ate the catered food that came in 90% of the time I was in prep, but sometimes I noticed that even shifted. Healthier food options started coming in from the CEO, bringing things in that were like, not just because of me, but because that we were creating a shift, right? So, like, yeah, you're leading by example. And the last thing that I wanted to say, I completely forgot. Barb said something at the end that I wanted to like lean into, and maybe if it comes back to me, I'll remember. But damn it, it was a good one too. There was three things. Shit. This is called old age brain. My 57-year-old brain is showing up. What'd you say at the end, Barb? Do you remember?
Um, oh, crud. I was talking about the training the people. If I don't want the chicken fried steak, I'm not gonna have
Oh,
it.
accountability piece. So that's
Ah,
the other thing. So that is very true. And I love that she said that, because that happens too, guys. Once you get the people, your friends, they might not 100% buy into what you're doing. In other words, they might not be like, I understand why you're doing this, Jules, or I understand why you're doing it, Barb, and I'm super, or Tina, and I'm super proud of you for it. And I think this is amazing. And but they might not totally buy into it, but here's the piece: they'll hold you accountable. And that's very true. Like, man, I just don't feel like going to the gym today. Some of my best friends, they weren't as consistent in the gym. They were my ride or dies a lot of times, but they weren't out there to compete. They weren't going to stand on stage. They didn't push as hard as I did. They might not have trained as hard as I did, but by God, if I said, oh man, I just don't feel like it today, get your ass to the gym, girl. They held me accountable. They'll help hold you accountable. So there's that element to it too. So you know who your peeps are. You'll know who your tribe is, because they may not 100% lean in, Tina. Your family might not 100% do exactly what you do, but they're going to help hold you accountable. And I know that they do because I've seen you at the gym. So they're going to remind you of why you're doing this. So I love that. I didn't set. So here's the deal, guys. Tomorrow, Wednesday, it's a weird week. So this is the first Tuesday of the month. And tomorrow is the second Wednesday of the month. So we have our team becoming her goal setting call tomorrow with Nicole. And I'll be on it as well. So weird week where you have two calls. You actually have three calls. You had Coach David, you had me, and then you have our other team call for goal setting. So I want you guys to take some time today, and not just for this call, but also if you can get on tomorrow's call, start to think about, I like you guys to set yourselves up. What are some of your intentions, or what are some things that you really want to focus on this month? And most of you guys that do check-ins with me, you know that we have a block in there of where we talk about, like, what do we need to focus on this month to move the needle for that big stretch goal. So for taking some time, like, what are the things that you did really, really well last month that set you up for success and really move the needle? And what are some of the things that you can do, like, you can really set an intention around this month? And I'm going to nail this. It could be, I'm going to increase my steps goal by 2,000 steps or whatever. It could be, that I'm going to push myself a little bit harder in the gym. I'm going to increase my weight. It could be, how you're tracking your nutrition. It could be several things like that. Or what are some of the things that you really can identify? Like, here's a little hole where I need to, like, really start to dial things in, and being honest with yourself. I might have been a little messy here. And these are some things that I could work on, or I could be better at. I could get 1% better at, because as we do this each month, that's how we get closer to that needle. Deal? Does anybody have anything in particular that they need to work on? Coach Sandy hasn't spoke, by the way. We probably should have her. She's frozen though, I think. Wave your hand, Coach Sandy, if you're not frozen. She's frozen. She's out walking. I was gonna have her chat. By the way, if you guys didn't get on, there she is. She's moving now. I don't know if she heard us before. So lastly, guys, before we talk about goals, but I want you guys to really think about that. If you weren't on last Thursday's call, Sandy is now has a new title. She's assistant coach Sandy. So we should all, she probably showed up in your inbox this week. So if you haven't seen, or if you have a red dot on in your inbox and you're like, I've responded to all Coach Jules messages. There's no messages. Why is there still a red dot there? It's because Sandy came in and said hello. And if you just push right next to my head, a drop box will come down and you'll see Sandy's head. So she's got two. She's client. She still coaches underneath me. She's got big goals, but she's also mentoring under me. She started a few months ago. And she's kind of into the next phase of mentoring and assisting underneath me because she really wants to coach and be a co-chair for Team Becoming Hers. So she's going through her education and she's assisting me. And she's just going to be another layer of support for you guys. So she's there for you guys to kind of lean into. You can message her. She's there for, you can ask basic questions to her. Obviously, I'm still here. I may have her work with you on special projects that I feel like she might be able to help you with a little bit more. So she may reach out and just say, hey, Coach Jules asked me to touch base with you. How can I help you? Things like that. She's also going to help me make sure you guys are staying on track. She's going to be watching your compliance, making sure you're, so every once in a while, if you see her peek in and be like, hey, what happened to your steps this week? She might do something like that. She might knock on your door and say, huh, seems like you've missed tracking for a couple of weekends. Things like that. So she's gonna like run a little, but not that she's there to pick on you. She's probably gonna save your little rear end sometimes and be like, you might want to like do a little something before Coach Jules catches you. I'm just coming in to help you out. No, I'm just kidding. But so she'll be doing a little bit of that, and I look at that as a really big benefit. She's another added layer of eyes to just help you guys learn to be self-accountable. And then of course there to answer basic questions. Sometimes like you might feel like, you know what, I don't really need to ask Coach Jules this. I know she's, got a lot in it, but I need to answer this question. So maybe it's something that you don't drop in the group community, which by the way, you can always ask questions in there. You can always ask Coach Sandy too. So she's just going to be another layer of support as she learns. And mentors underneath me. I'm very excited for her. Anybody have anything to add? What a good call.
I saved our other dog in the pool. Zoe, she's 12 and she fell in. So not
Laughing at that.
just y'all lifting weights to define your body and to, look better, but you can use this stuff in emergency situations.
Yeah.
But she was fine. But I'm just saying, I lifted her. She was 70 pounds and I just lifted her out, with a little adrenaline going on. But,
It's very true.
this happened twice. Jules knows this. It's happened twice with another dog, but that was a Mastiff and he's 150 pounds. So I lifted him out of the deep end easy. So, whew.
There's a lot, and that's really good. I'm glad, Barb shared it. A lot of times we put these, we look at scale wins. These are non-scale victories that are just as important. And a lot of times you guys are going to have these and you're going to realize like, and I've heard more than one of these stories. Like you'll be like, holy shit, I just did this thing that I never knew I could do. And trust me, like Barb shared, it'll just come out of the blue. You'll just do something. You'll be like, I can't believe. I don't know if it was you, Tina, or somebody messaged me the other day. They've been just a week into the program and came back and said, holy shit, I just went up the stairs. like, and something that, I don't think it was you, I think it was Charity or somebody that messaged me, and they were like, holy shit, I've been 3 weeks in and I've just been dialed into my nutrition. I've increased my steps. And I noticed the other day, like the stairs were easier. There's things that are going to become easier as you go, and you're just going to get stronger and stronger. And they might be these little things, like to her, she's like, it's just a little thing. I'm like, no, that's a really big thing. Because these things are going to add up and they're going to get bigger and bigger. And the next thing you know, you're lifting 150-pound massive out of the pool. So,
That reminds me of my other job, if Jules doesn't mind me cutting in here, where
absolutely.
um, I work in healthcare, and I work in a neonatal intensive care unit, and we have to run to emergent deliveries and C-sections. And I'll never forget, this was like this weekend. I was running to a code situation, and I left everybody in the dust. And then when they all got there, I was the only one able to functionally perform my duties because they were like, bent over tripoding, trying to catch their breath. And I was like, oh, wow, this step thing really is working. This is fantastic. So anyway, I thought that was a funny that reminded me of my funny little win this week.
I think that's a huge win because listen, if I was that person at the table that was coding or whatever, I'm really freaking grateful that you were in that kind of experience and not on the side of my bed huffing and puffing, but really saving my life. Thank you very much.
Like, am I going to have to code 3 of my coworkers here? What's going on?
No, I love that. And that's like, guys, like, that's just like, Sandy's making like a little bit of fun of that. But I mean, think about that. Think about that. Like, even not being in that profession, like a family member, a kid, whatever, to be in that, what would that feel like if you couldn't show up for that person, but to be able to show up, not just for yourself, but somebody else. So that's actually a really huge win, Sandy. Like, you're making fun of it. That's huge, you know? So I love that. Thank you for sharing. And it's also yourself too. Like, you're going to be stronger for your own physical self. You won't be that person at 60, 70, 80 trying to get up off the couch, not able to chase your kids or chase your grandchildren around. You'll be bouncing off that couch, running up those stairs on the trampoline with the grandkids.
I posted it in the chat, and it's functional fitness.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm 57.
Mm-hmm.
I have osteopenia, so I don't want to get osteoporosis.
Mm-hmm.
My mom has heart disease. My dad had heart disease. I physically, my mom's 94. What if I have to help her with we're all creeping up, and I don't want to be, what's the saying? You're going to either be the youngest, the youngest person in the nursing home?
Yes.
Or the oldest person in the gym.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the youngest person in the nursing home. I want to be the oldest person in the gym. I want to be that person who's lifting weights, and I'm able to go for the walk. I'm able to, do things in my 70s and 80s that, other people can't do because they've chosen not to put themselves as a priority. And I think that's what goes back to all of this with the food and everything is I'm putting myself as a priority because I want to I'm 3 years away from 60. That's hard. That's hard to think about. I don't want to go into that looking like and feeling like, I'm 80. So that's functional fitness. I think that's amazing that you were able to get your dog out of the pool because that's what this is all about.
Yeah. No, I love that, Kate.
Kate, your shoulders look great.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
Keep on, sister.
Wow.
I was looking at myself in the thing. I'm like, holy crap. I just did the chest and the shoulders today. So I have a little bit of a pump going on.
Don't mess
But
with
thank
Kate.
you.
I know.
Don't mess with her.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm trying to keep my focus on it. I'm like, God damn, look how huge she's like. Oh, shit.
That's pump. That's the pump I got. But yeah, that's another thing. Like, oh, my shoulders are looking good. So that's fun.
I noticed it too, by the way. I was like, holy crap. Just wanted you to know that.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Holy crap. I love it. I love it. You know, and guys, for those of you that are new, I'm going to just land this here. I'm going to spin off of Kate. I don't like to tell this story, but I think it is important to spin off of both of what they said. Some of you know, some of you don't know. I was in a horrific accident 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago. I was 54 and it left me immobile for 4 months, completely immobile, and I had almost 22 months of rehab. I wouldn't be coaching you here today. Dead serious. Would not be coaching you here today if I hadn't been in the shape that I was in when the accident happened. True story. And if I had survived that, because I should have went septic and I did not. Had I survived it, which obviously I did, but the other piece of it was I should have lost my leg. I didn't do either. Neither one of it happened. And every doctor, every physical fit, every functional doctor that has worked with me, every physical doctor, from my orthopedic doctor to the, he's not really a cosmetic doctor. He's the doctor that had to put the muscle on top of my leg, but he is all of them, and everyone that I see today have said over and over again, for a 57-year-old, this should not have happened. If you had been in the shape of the average patient that we work with, you would be lucky to be walking and you'd be lucky to be alive. And they all attributed it to the shape that I was in, and also the way that I ate in the hospital. So those of you guys that are nurses, I drove the fucking nurses crazy. Crazy. I refused to eat the food. My orthopedic doctor had it like I didn't know this till later. He had a sign like for all the new nurses that would come in specifically on the night that feed her what she wants. Do not tell her that she cannot have chicken and rice or that she can't, just feed her what she wants because it's working. Like, cause I would be like, I go livid. They bring me in fried chicken. I'd be no. But just know that to layer on to what these guys said, it is huge. And it's why I'm so adamant about you guys really leaning into this and learning to fuel your body, because I lived it. I used to be more about the physical. Now I know that it is equally as important, if not more important, for the functional piece of it. So that's all I got to say to you. All right. Anything else before I say thank you, Tina? I am too. I'm very happy. Anything else before I sign off? All right. Fantastic call. I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll drop the recording for this call in the tribe. If you guys can make tomorrow's call on Wednesday, I think tomorrow's a morning call. I'll see you there. If not, make sure you watch the recording, and everybody go watch. Tina just spilled the beans. It was a good call. So go see Dr. or David's call from yesterday too. All right. Lots of love.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.